From Officer Kautheim's testimony that Alex was injured on the back of his head with a bump and, according to his testimony, a 1-inch laceration. We did not see those pictures documenting that injury as well. We learned in this trial that we did not know, the three of us, that our interviews were being recorded. We learned that Alex's phone was taken by police and put into an evidence bag, according to Detective Duncan, and that no digital copy of Alex's phone was taken by the Chandler Police Department, even though this is their normal protocol. We learned that Alex's phone was returned to him that same day with no further inquiries. We learned that after my interview and Tylee's interview that we were introduced to a victim's advocate and that gave us further instructions in another room where Tylee and I were reunited. We learned that soon after that, all three of us, Alex, Tylee, and myself, were taken in another van and dropped off back at our house. We learned that we were instructed at that time that we could not enter the house yet, that we were directed by law enforcement to take the rental car, since all three of our cars were inside the police tape. We were directed to return later in the afternoon when the scene was cleaned up. We learned in this trial that we did as directed and left the house in the rental car close to 12 p.m. We learned that we did not return to the house until contacted by Detective Inkland to return to the house so that Alex could walk the detectives through what they call a walkthrough. We learned that many detectives were present during that walkthrough with Alex. We learned that Detective Duncan was there, Detective Coons was there, Detective Moffett was there, Detective Werther was there, and an officer with a body cam was there. And yet, we were told by Detective Duncan, the case agent on this case on the stand, that because of some problem, the walkthrough was not recorded. Detective Duncan also informed us that he does not know if any of the people present wrote a report about it. We can infer from Detective Duncan's testimony and the fact that we don't have an evidence, any body cam footage of the walkthrough and no reports talking about it, that there are none, even though this would be crucial evidence for you, the jury, to have.
Sustained, the jury should disregard that comment. Again, the jury can only consider evidence that was admitted into testimony. I'm sorry, testimony that was admitted into evidence or exhibits that were admitted into evidence.
The state of Arizona has the obligation to show you evidence to prove that this event was not self-defense, as stated by the only three witnesses. So why not show the jury all the evidence that they gathered?
Again, sustained, the jury can only consider the evidence and testimony that was admitted into evidence.
We learned in this trial that Alex fully cooperated with law enforcement. We learned that my daughter Tylee fully cooperated with law enforcement. We learned that I fully cooperated with law enforcement. We learned that law enforcement treated all of us that day kindly and courteously on July 11th, 2019.
Yeah, too kindly.
That law enforcement treated us that day like this was self-defense.
Because they didn't.
We were not given instructions to stay in town.
They didn't have all the facts.
We were not given instructions that we were under investigation of any kind.
Because you thought you could sweet talk your way out of it, and that would be it, just like the other bodies.
Further instructions.
You had pretty privilege, you thought.
We learned that Chandler Police put out a press release that day on July 11th.
I'll sustain that objection to the extent the jury is to determine what the facts did or did not establish.
Under Arizona law, I had the right to self-defense. Tylee had the right to self-defense. Alex had the right to self-defense.
You guys weren't even in the room.
This event was not planned or expected. It was shocking.
You didn't seem.
We learned in this trial The Chandler Police Department neglected to do a thorough investigation. We learned that they did not swab Alex's hands for gunpowder residue. We learned that they did not swab my hands for gunpowder residue. We learned that they did not swab Tylee's hands for gunpowder residue. We learned that they did not luminol the gun. We learned that they did not luminol the bat. They did not test the DNA on the bat that they collected. They did not test the floorboard. They did not test the projectile. They did not test my husband's shirt. They did not search the rental car. They did not search any of our 3 cars that were there at the scene. They did not test the gun until over 5 years later. The Chandler Police Department did treat this event just like it was self-defense and a tragic family event. We learned in this trial that Charles and I were obviously having marital problems.
It was
Regardless of what was happening in our marriage at
you
the
had the
time,
perfect murder.
on July 11th, this was self-defense. When Tylee came out with the bat to protect me, her mother, Charles did not have to take the bat from Tylee and start swinging. At 62 years old, Charles had a choice that day and could have put the bat down. A 2-minute period changed our lives forever. How are you supposed to choose between 3 people you love? Your husband, your daughter, your brother?
All right, hold on. All right, I'll caution the defendant not to testify about things that were not entered into evidence.
Yeah, so she didn't object to any of the closing statements by the state.
How can you decide for another person if they feel threatened?
She should have did that.
Why does the state want to blame to
And
someone?
now they're going to object to all of these things.
I'm sure you'll point that out in rebuttal. I'll allow the argument as that inference. Go ahead.
Why does the state want to blame someone for this tragic event? What evidence did the state show you in this trial that I wanted
Because a
harm to
person
come
is
to my husband?
deceased.
We learned in this trial that I was praying for my husband. We learned in this trial that even though my husband and I were having marital issues, that we were both trying to do the best things for our son with special needs, JJ. We learned in this trial that I was shocked that Charles had changed his life insurance policy, but I was not angry as the state alleges. In the phone call we heard from the insurance company, we heard that I was disappointed for our children, our grown children, as well as our children still at home, but I was not angry. My husband Charles was providing for our children still at home. I had no motive to change that.
Chad
We heard
Daybell
a lot
was
about
their motive,
We heard a lot in this trial about the
ran
book of
off
prophet
with.
named Nephi.
who he also killed his ex-wife.
This is the state's evidence to murder over self-defense, and it is utterly ridiculous. We heard from Detective Duncan, who admitted on the stand that he had no idea what I meant in the text message when I said, "We will be like Nephi." In Mormon culture, Nephi signifies strong faith, perseverance, and courage.
All right. Sustained.
The state's attempt to misconstrue the positive text message about a wonderful religious figure, Nephi, and try to turn it into an order to kill someone is absurd. This is an attempt by the state to try to retrofit a crime that doesn't exist. This event was not a crime. It was a tragedy. Don't let them turn my family tragedy into a crime.
Where's your family at? None of them are on the side. They're
When
not
I'm done
defending
speaking to
you. They
the state gets
testified
to get up and
against
rebut
you.
all that I've told you.
Okay?
They've
You're
got to have
so
the last word, so to speak, because it is
gaslighting people.
100% their burden to prove to you that I committed a crime. And you won't be allowed to hear from me again. So I want you to remember that it is the state's job to prove to you that I committed a crime. And if you have not seen the evidence that leaves you firmly convinced that I have committed this very crime, then the state failed to show you the evidence that you need. Because I did not commit this crime. The only interview the state entered into evidence is mine. So I encourage you to go watch it. I told you just what happened that day, just the way it happened. The state put forth a bunch of evidence in this trial in an effort to make you dislike me, to try to attack my character, so that you would just say guilty no matter what evidence they showed you. But only you get to decide.
No, that's not how jury works.
The state put up witnesses that had
People aren't
zero
stupid.
knowledge of a conspiracy. The state did not show you evidence of an agreement to commit murder. They showed you evidence of a family tragedy, and then they showed you the sad effects.
Your son
of a
doesn't even
family
talk
torn
to
apart
you.
because of that tragedy.
What did I say? She's gonna cry. Crocodile tears. That's her last defense. Crocodile tears. She didn't even
All right, the state does have the burden, so they have the right to open and close the argument.
That was
Do you
a
wanna give rebuttal
short
close?
statement.
Go ahead.
15 minutes, 10 minutes, because I missed like the opening.
The execution of Charles Vallow is not a family tragedy.
Oh, so the prosecution gets to rebut.
There is nothing that you can say about shooting a man as he lay on the ground that you can try to construe in any way to make that a family tragedy.
Yes, not a tragedy. It is a calculated
This
setup.
case is about the defendant, not Alex Cox.
Exactly. Alex is dead.
Alex is involved in it because that is her
I
co-conspirator.
don't even know if they can tell the jury that.
We are not here
No,
to
I think
determine
I think they
his
do know
guilt.
that.
Albeit
They don't know
it
the
is
kids are
quite
dead.
obvious. This defendant wants you to just look at one piece, and she wants you to hope that there's only a person who will say, I heard the conspiracy. But what did you hear in every instruction is that you can look to other evidence to show that.
Yeah,
This defendant wants you to forget about her words.
I heard
And
Attorney
pretend that
Rosenberg
when
say that
she
before.
told her lover, her
Circumstantial
soon-to-be
evidence
husband,
is
we
just as good
got
as
rid of him,
hard evidence.
that he changed the
It
life
has the same
insurance
weight in
before
the legal
we got
system.
rid of him, that somehow means what? That they killed him. And he changed his life insurance before they killed him. What does that tell you? That tells you motive, and that tells you who did it. This defendant is one of those we, because she's writing it. She wants you to pretend that when she is talking about Charles for months, acquiescing and agreeing to her brother killing
Lori's
him,
closing statement
having
was
people
like
tell her,
so short
that it's
compared to
wrong.
the prosecution.
having people know that they're planning for something.
If I were her, even though she probably had it pre-written out, I would have
That
dragged it out, just like the
Those
prosecution
words
did.
don't mean exactly what they are.
Well, she probably doesn't have much
We
to say because she knows she's guilty.
Got rid of him.
But she
this
should have
defendant.
just kept talking.
The state, of course,
Now
has
the prosecution's
burden.
got the mic back. And
And
this lady
that's how it
talked
should
for
be.
2 hours earlier for her
But
closing
every
statement.
one of those
Let's see how
justification
long she
defenses
keeps the jury
falls short
this rebuttal.
when you look at the conspiracy itself. When they got rid of him, they did it by planning it. There is no reason that Alex Cox came over to this defendant's house with a loaded gun and waited for Charles to come inside, held there
Yeah.
by this defendant using the cell phone. That is conspiracy. That is planning. That is premeditated. You can absolutely watch that whole video. That's why the state included that for you. What you're going to see is that Lori Vallow doesn't cry. She is not truthful, as we've gone through. Her timeline is absolutely wrong. She tells the detectives it's quick, it's 12 minutes. She wants you to believe that the police could understand all of this that day.
Lori
What
is
did
going to
you
be
hear?
found guilty. The prosecution
Is
just
that
took over her
all the
closing
police could
statement.
tell initially was that the timeline was off.
I would
And
have
then
thought she
they
would have
started learning that the
worked
physical
harder on her closing
evidence
statement. She had the
seemed
entire
to be showing
weekend
that Charles
to
was
come up with her
executed on
closing
the floor, but
statement,
they
and
needed to
Lori
see
gave us
if the medical
10
examiner
minutes.
agreed with them 2 days later.
I
And
guess
then
I missed the first few
They
minutes,
needed
so my
to pull
bad.
all those
I
iCloud
had to walk my
accounts,
dog.
phone records,
And I didn't know the
and go
prosecution was
through
going to talk for 2
terabytes of
hours
data
earlier.
to bring
And I
forward
just found out I'm going to
these
be on
things
American
that you
Cholo
have
tonight.
now learned and hold. They
So
interviewed
check
just
out
people who
American
learned
Cholo Live
of
tonight
the
at 10 p.m. I
defendant's
should be on
religious beliefs, that she
the channel.
was exalted, that she was celestial being, that she didn't have to repent. Of course she thought she was Nephi. We learned that the physical
Oh,
evidence
the camera's
on
moving.
Charles
Come
and at the
on,
scene
camera. What are you
show
going to
us that he was executed. And every single
She's
one of
there
those
all by
defenses
herself. No one
that the
has her
defendant
back.
has asked you to look at, the state has met its
What
burden.
did she do this for?
Because even if you
No
somehow
reward,
believe
man.
that Charles
No reward.
actually had that bat and it wasn't staged like the rest of the scene with the shoes
Downhill from here, Lori.
and the lack of blood there, that second shot is not justified for self-defense, crime prevention, or third-party defense. Arizona law does not allow you to execute a man on the ground. The defendant wants you to believe she was shocked and surprised by this, and yet she goes wandering around, goes to Burger King, Walgreens,
Took her
drops
son to
off
Burger
her
King
kid,
for
comes back and
breakfast.
jokes about her
I
neighbors.
mean, what do you get at Burger King breakfast? I guess
Not
the French
one
toast
action
sticks,
of a person shocked,
sausage biscuit.
surprised.
Those would
She
be
wants
what
you to
I would
feel
get.
bad for
I'm
her
not a
daughter,
hash brown
Tylee.
person.
You saw her there.
Orange
You
juice.
heard from the detectives. She's also not shocked, crying, upset, worried. And you saw Alex, same demeanor. Why? They've had 47 minutes to work it all out. Go through Charles's phone, figure out what they're going to say. They've talked on the
That's
phone.
it. What is my
twice
title,
in this
point and
time
shoot?
period.
This is my second live stream. And I'm using a new software.
Relies upon
What does my title
all
say?
of the
Go live from your browser?
investigation that the police did.
Oh, shit. Okay.
That day,
Glory
when they
Valley.
knew that
See,
timeline was wrong,
Thank you for helping me.
that day when they started to understand that the physical evidence at the scene was staged and wrong and didn't match what the defendant was saying. And then
I didn't know how to
all of the
update.
evidence after that,
I hope I did it right.
culminating when this defendant told the man that she married later that she was
Okay.
having an
I
affair
just-
with,
I just
as many
updated
times
it.
as she wants to say Charles was my husband. She didn't want him as her husband. She wanted Chad Daybell. She wanted that life insurance policy, and yes, she was angry about it.
We're at the home stretch
And she said,
of this trial.
we got rid of him. That is her confession to you. That is why she is guilty of conspiracy to commit.
I'm
first
not on
degree murder.
OBS anymore. Mike,
All right.
drop the prosecution, Russ.
Do we have Izzy coming over? Izzy to be sworn in?
Point and shoot. I'm going to be on American Cholo tonight.
All right, members of the jury, there are 14 of you, only 12 of you can deliberate. At this time, we're going to choose the alternate
Thanks
jurors
to
by random
you.
lot here.
Here, look at this.
So we have our scientific method here of random numbers.
Go follow point and shoot. Look at, I got
Juror
like
14.
comments now. I'm moving up, point and shoot.
Juror 5.
Oh,
I
the
don't think
jurors
you're
have
5.
comments.
Well, maybe you are. Okay, so to the alternates, if I don't see you again, I want to thank you for participating in this process. The admonition still applies to you until we call you and tell you that it's been lifted. I have in the past had to have callback alternate jurors to testify or to deliberate when for whatever reason, one of the jurors can't continue to deliberate, becomes sick, has a family emergency, et cetera. So you still could have to deliberate in this case. But again, if I don't see you again, I really do want to thank you for participating in this process. I know it might be
what's
somewhat of a
next?
disappointment to not deliberate right now, but we will keep you posted and we'll let you know
What's
if we
next?
need you. The remaining 12 jurors will retire to the jury room and begin your deliberations. First, we're going to swear in my staff.
Do you swear that you will take charge of
So
this
I'm
jury and
live on
protect their
Twitch and
deliberations
YouTube.
from all outside interference and communication? And when they have
Shout
reached a
out to
verdict,
all of
you'll
my
bring them
viewers.
back into court without revealing the verdict to anyone, so help you God.
All right, I think that's it. They're letting the jury go now. How long do you think it's going to take them to come to a verdict of guilty? Because she's obviously not innocent. I say they're going to take 48 hours. This trial is going to wrap up this week. It's Monday.
The jury?
They're going to know. They're going to have an answer in 1 to 3 business days. It was a pretty speedy trial. So Lori, the justice system, did its checks and balances, and it gave her what she wanted, her speedy trial, and there you go. She was given her due process, but it was just her chance to practice being a lawyer because
The jury's no longer present in the courtroom. I've passed out proposed aggravation phase jury instructions in the event that there is a verdict of guilt. The state elects to proceed with an aggravation phase of this trial. So I'll let the parties review that. It's not too long.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lori just went crazy at this point. Like, she has nothing to lose. She has
Got it.
lost every single thing in her life.
All right, we'll be at
Good crime
recess
does not
until
pay.
we hear from the jury.
Okay, court is adjourned. Thank you for watching my live stream. Let me turn this off. Oops, that's wrong. How do we do it? Stop sharing. Oh no. I don't know how to do this. Where did I go? Oh my God, I'm gone. I don't know how to make myself big. I don't know why I went away. Thank you so much for watching. This was my closing statements review. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll do this more often. Hope you guys liked it, but I'm gonna get off the computer and actually go visit another set in Hollywood today. So catch me on YouTube very soon, and we'll have more to talk about soon, guys.